Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with a build that I have previously played before, about maybe a year ago, that I'm trying to bring into a more modern age, since there have been a few changes here or there, and it was one of the most enjoyable characters I can remember playing, which is the first time I really tried Elemental Hit, and that is the Elemental Hit Try Ele Wander. So I've only really played Elemental Hit. I think this would be the third time, and they have been Try Elemental. Something about the just single element stacking doesn't quite do it for me. And the Wander that I played was the first Ele Hit, and by God was it fun to watch the clear and also get some really big chonkin hits in during the single target phases. Back then, it was much more worth pathing down to point blank, so a lot of our points on the tree were going towards just pure travel. These days, that's not really something that's too worth doing, since it's down to 30% for point blank and cluster jewels exist. And then of course there's harvest crafting, so I wanted to try and remake the character with a bit more of that stuff involved. So we do have one cluster jewel, a large cluster with a couple mediums, a couple smalls, and as well as that I'm trying to just make a bit more fun gear with the harvest crafting. For example, tailwind boots were something I did not have on the previous character and were pretty hard to do for energy shield characters, whereas right now you can make like pretty much the perfect pair of tailwind boots without much effort. So we've got tailwind in the build and that feels pretty damn good. And I'm also trying to make sure golems are going to live a little bit better by not using a primordial amulet, and instead just sticking to the 5 golems, one of each type, and they are going to be a little bit beefier, a little bit tankier that way, and if we do need to in the end game, spec a bit more for them even. But for now, it's not really anything, just the usual golem shenanigans. And you can notice that my energy shield is not too high at the moment. That's because I have been just playing with the gear that I'm trying to upgrade. So like my chest is just an explosion chest with absolutely no energy shield, so it's got like 200 energy shield. Gloves have like 100, boots have like 100, shield has like 200, because I'm just slowly upgrading those pieces as I go with the harvest crafting. But for the most part, build like this doesn't really need much defensive mechanics throughout mapping, because you obliterate the entire screens without anything touching you, and at the same time we are still pretty tanky thanks to the stone golem, giving us lots of ES regen, thanks to Chaos Golem giving a decent amount of fizz damage reduction. We do have ailment immunity from all of the golems, and we're a very ranged character overall. Yeah, it's just you don't die very often, even with 3000 ES, which is what I had up until like level 80. But in the end, we should have something like 8000 energy shield and be a pretty well balanced character. And you can see what the character did to end game in the last video of this sort of build like a year ago. I'm not quite sure I'll get to the same level of damage output, because we're hovering around the same damage at the moment as the last time I built it, but things have been significantly buffed since then. So far it hasn't been too bad. Have done some pretty good single target. Mostly it's just been really orgasmic clear, but we'll have to wait and see if I have to invest heavily to be able to get us to the same level of single target. Though the pure elemental or the pure single element Ele hits, like only fire, can hit ridiculous numbers, and they can be a lot higher up on the single target scale. I just like the idea of having the Try Ele, where you rotate between the elements and use elemental equilibrium to your advantage, which should be one of the best uses of elemental equilibrium out there, or at least one of the ones that makes most sense, since you can't ever attack twice with the same element in a row on Ele Hit. It'll always try and pick a different element every single time it attacks, thus making your elemental equilibrium pretty damn effective. There isn't too much else to say about the character, aside from the fact that this is, I think, just one of the probably nicest examples so far, I think, for most of my characters of harvest crafting being utilized, where if you can spend a lot of time min-maxing and you can keep farming the right craft, you can pretty much make a perfect set of gear rather comfortably, thanks to just the defensive options for CI gear with the removes, the adds, the remove non-defense, the add defense, all that sort of crap. You should be able to just make fairly perfect energy shield gear and get yourself up to a high enough standard while still maintaining some of the best influence and attack based modifiers on your gear. So it gets pretty filthy if we can put the right amount of time into it. Not sure if I'll commit that hard, but we'll have to wait and see just how fun the end game for the character will be, because I've still got a few little upgrades to make here or there, and then maybe I'll start doing proper end game. And if it's really chunking along, yeah, we could go up to like level 94, 95 and start min-maxing the character, because it is just a joy to look at with these sorts of heralds. Even without the heralds, the Ele Hit MTX itself, or non-MTX, just the skill effect, does look rather pretty with the explosions going off every single time it hits over the top of another element. So with that, let me just get into how the character's built and what we're looking at. There's our current character, level 87, called Coffin Please Golems. Emote, the, coffin meme. And it's for the golems that we were assuming would be dying, but so far, so good. Not really been experiencing too many golem deaths, and I can still make them a bit tankier with the right little bit of support here or there. Currently haven't had to attach anything to them, but if we just bust them all out, that's what our little army looks like. We've got our heralds, we've got a discipline, and all of the golems, one of each golem. So the strength and elementalist, if you are not very familiar, is just buffing the buff effect of each golem by having more of them out, and also getting damage from each one. And then you're also immune to elemental ailments, but ideally you're just getting a lot of percent damage from the fire golem, a lot of percent crit and accuracy from the ice, good life regen, good attack speed, and some good damage reduction from the chaos golem. So even without like any investment in damage reduction, we're at 18%, and that should be a lot stronger than the armor's version as well. Then we got good regen on our energy shield, 590 per second at the moment, so damn near higher than 10% energy shield per second. You can see my resists aren't terribly well balanced yet, but that's because my gear is just a mishmash of crap. For example, this is the explosion chest I have, does nothing but explosion and a little bit of resists and stuff. So I plan to still awakener smash that with probably a crit chest, and then finish crafting it as good as I possibly can, because it's very easy to make those. It's just as simple as having an awakener orb, which it might seem expensive, but when that's the entire cost of a perfect item, aside from just getting some harvest crafting done, it's pretty ridiculous. So nothing else has been too extreme so far. I've bought a couple of rings, I think, for like 10 and 50C each. They just have minus mana cost, because the better you can go on getting rid of the mana cost, the more comfortable you'll be in the end, just spamming away, considering we do have a leech to make up for the rest and some mana regen. So the current setup is Ele Hit, damage on full life, inspiration, Ele damage with attacks, chain support, and GMP. I was using PS for a lot of the time, but once you get high enough damage, chain feels a little bit better in plenty of maps. But that's our current setup, and then you can put in energy leech and something like slow approach probably, or hypothermia for single target swaps. And we can do that because there's people out there making these 6 white, 6 link regalias that cost, I think, 1.4x when I bought it, which is just ridiculous. You then just need to put an influence on it, and yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. But you can still harvest craft these colors on a regular regalia if you don't really want to do that, because it's pretty damn easy to do harvest crafting for colors on items as well. We're then using Crown of Eyes because I really like the idea of 150% attack from our spells value instead of the Wand Slinger node, I think it's called. Yep, which is just 100%. So we're going with that one, and then trying to utilize plenty of spell damage from the wand. We'll get plenty of spell damage on a shield, but currently this is just the piece of shit I've made. Ideally, you can get up to about 100 spell damage on shield, and then 2 good energy shield crafts. So it should be a shield with about 300 ES and maybe 100 spell damage in the end, hopefully. Then we've got some gloves. These are temple-based gloves. I then just made sure I had all the right suffixes, which is attack speed. So I slammed attack speed on there with Harvest Craft. then crafted the attack speed while focused. And then I tried to fracture and we happened to hit the attack speed. Doesn't really matter, just going to build the rest of the glove with energy shield around it. And we've already got a decent roll, I only just finished these yesterday, but they can obviously get a lot better since those are tier 3, 4, 3. So you can keep doing add, remove, defense rolls until you get bigger and better ones. And with the boots, all we really needed to do there was get movement speed, and that's it. So essentially my boots had 35 movement speed because I crafted them that way. They're a hunter pair of sorcerer boots, and then you can augment on crit, get tailwind, augment on cold, lightning, remove add till you get good rolls, and then remove add defenses till you get good rolls there. I've yet to do that, but so far this is what we've got. You can make pretty damn good boots pretty damn easily with harvest crafting as well. So the similar belt, or the same belt as I used on a different CI character, which, yeah, I think I was just using defense harvest crafts until something good happened. I'd rather reduce flask charges, but resist are fine. Hopefully I'm not going to be too overcapped in the end. And then the amulet you smash together with Awakener Orb, and you try and get dexterity on one amulet, lightning on the other amulet, smash together, and then we cleaned the entire amulet so it had no other mods, put on crit mod, and that's where we're at with the crit multi. It can go higher, it can be better, but currently we're just leaving it there, and I'm not sure what else I'm going to do with the amulet just yet, because there are 2 spare suffixes, could easily put a few resists on, something like that, but just waiting to see on that one. The wand ideally just has a lot of spell damage, some attack speed, some crit, and enough room to craft that double damage while focused, but you can go a different route altogether and craft wands with your own elemental penetration or hunter elemental penetration. The +1 to like lightning, cold, fire, that only works for spells, so don't be fooled into thinking you want that on your shield or your weapon, because it won't work. So you just need big stats there, since Ele Hit just does a lot of flat damage and you're just trying to get lots of percent damage scaling on top of that. Currently running a Quicksilver, a Wise Oak, which isn't very good, but I will try and triple balance it in the end, I think. Sulfur Flask, which keeps golems alive a little bit because it does drop that consecrated ground that gets them a little bit regen tanky. Cinder Swallow with crit, and a Diamond Flask with bleed immune at the moment is what we're running. And as far as our supports and stuff go, we do have to have Herald of Thunder attached to Brutality, because otherwise it will mess with your elemental equilibrium. Every time lightning comes down from thunder and hits, it'll make things strictly tankier towards lightning. So if we get rid of that altogether, the only factor that comes into it is our own elemental hit rotating elements. So it's pretty important to get elemental equilibrium in this type of a build and to make sure it's working at its fullest. And that's why we've got that over there. We've got an Anima Stone down here for an extra golem. You can make very good, very thick triple crit multi, even quad crit multi jewels with the right jewels and the right harvest crafts, but currently this is what I'm rolling with one of these jewels. We are using a Thread of Hope with a very large ring that lets us hit Glancing Blows, Sanctity, Precision, Retribution, and I'll probably grab the 8 attack speed at some point as well. We've gone over here to get the minion shit so that they're a bit tankier and we get their damage. Zealot's Oath, just so that we can convert our Stone Golem regen into Energy Shield regen, and CI, and Ghost Reaver, of course, to get our CI, obviously, and Crown of Eyes Leech working for us. Besides that, the cluster jewel that I've chosen to use this time around is a minion one. The 8 minion passive ones are pretty damn expensive because of summoner people. So if you just grab a 9 passive one and then roll some shit like Primordial Bond, Feasting Fiends, Renewal, it really doesn't matter. The only thing we're looking for is Primordial Bond. It's very flexible. You can probably get a different jewel, like a wanding based one, and really not lose out on much. But I'm trying to get a bit of a golem life, so I went that route. But it is a fairly lackluster jewel at the moment. Otherwise, we have crit and double damage, precise commander going into the 100 energy shield, 100 energy shield over here as well, and currently a heraldry, which just gives us exposure to all elements when people are nearby, and I'll still probably roll it to get another notable, but there's nothing particularly special for us there for this character. I'd like to think that covers just about everything there. As far as our sockets are concerned, you've got Herald of Ice, Discipline, Enlighten, and Herald of Ash. We have currently Second Wind attached dash. a golem chilling by himself, a golem by himself, a golem, and shield charge, faster attacks, house golem, and fortify. But I do still have a spare socket there. I can still move into unset rings, and I might just do that so that I can attach the golems to like a minion life support or a meat shield support. It might be relevant in the end game, so I might still go ahead and do that. For now though, I think that's all I need to say. Probably. It's still a little bit of a work in progress. You can check out the previous Ele Hit Wander videos if you want some more fine-tuned final progress, but bear in mind, previous build went all the way down here and ended up getting point blank. This time we're just trying to stay up top and be a bit more localized, and hopefully it still works out to some extent, but there were also other nerfs involved too. For example, my character currently has 400 crit multi, the previous one had 600 by the end of the character, and there's no way I'm hitting that amount without just pure dual stacking throughout the tree, which I probably won't be doing, but we'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.